Hello, are you thinking of moving to the city of Maricopa in Arizona, but you've got some questions about affordability, the cost of living here? Hi, my name's Mike Millett, and you are watching Living in Maricopa, where I cover all things Maricopa and the surrounding communities like Casa Grande, Tempe, Phoenix, Mesa, Chandler, basically all of those. And today we're going to be looking at, you guessed it, the cost of living, pulling together as much useful information as we can. And stick around until the end because we are, of course, going to be going into the cost of housing here, which is a critical factor. Maricopa has a reputation for being very affordable. Do we deserve that reputation? Let's find out. Let's get things going right now. All right, so kind of just right off the bat, I want to talk about how I really wanted to pull together a lot of good, solid information for comparison's sake, so that you could, see how affordable Maricopa is or isn't in relation to other places you're considering or where you currently are. But to be honest, I wasn't finding any resources that passed the logic check or that made sense or seemed to be consistent. I found a lot of inconsistencies, and I want to show you at least a little sample of what I'm talking about. First, a little context. Let's look at income information for the city of Maricopa. And this you can find by just searching average income in Maricopa, Arizona, because it pulls this information from census data. But the average individual income, $44,000. The average household income, $88,000. Okay, so and we can look at that a little closer here. It does take you to datacommons.org. And you can find breakdowns. I've featured this a little bit in another video I did before. But when we consider an average household income of $88,000, and we look at say smartasset.com, which I'm not trying to knock them. This is just one specific example. It just helped me lose confidence in this service. So for example, if we compare Maricopa to San Diego, which is just kind of a random place I picked, to be honest, and then it automatically filled in household income. Okay, great. And it's saying that the cost of living is similar to between Maricopa and San Diego. Okay, so right off the bat, that sounds nuts to me. And so I popped over to what many realtors consider to be their enemy, Zillow. I don't love Zillow myself, but it does have its uses, like when I'm looking up property information in another state. So for San Diego, just pulling up all their listings, there's $2.1 million home, 2.2. This $108 million home in San Diego. That's that's a little out of my budget. Maybe out of your budget. Maybe you can afford it. But obviously those are a little bit outliers. But to get anything under like $400,000, you're looking at a condo. All these homes are in the millions, in the 800. Okay, so that one's 800,000, but it's a 700,000, but it's a 1,232 square foot home. Whereas here, let me maybe try to add some context more directly. This home right here, $2,149,000 asking price, 5-bed, 4-bath. It's on the larger side, $3,454. So I've featured homes like this in Maricopa before, and I see them all the time. And even with some of these upgrades, like that looks like a nice pool. Here, let's navigate through. It's a different kind of neighborhood than you might find here sometimes. It's at the end of a cul-de-sac. Okay, great. Okay, but the home itself, this one might be $700,000 if it were in Maricopa, $800,000 in Maricopa. And that's just not comparable. And one of these affordable places to live, $150,000, that's decent. It is a condo, and I definitely wonder what the HOA cost is for it. Let's see. $930 per month HOA. So that's going to drastically reduce the sell price of the home. That's a lot. That's more than a lot of people's mortgages. And anyway, we'll get more into housing later in the video as promised. But when you also consider other things like food costs and taxes, like those are things that are known to be more affordable here than in California. I'm not trying to knock California. I'm not one of those people that knocks California necessarily, but they do have higher costs for a lot of things, higher tax rates for just about everything, and And to say that our cost of living here is basically the exact same as San Diego is not realistic. You know, another one I glanced at is payscale.com, and it's saying that, you know, the cost of living is higher in Maricopa than in Phoenix. And I also know that to not be true based off of just housing prices. So, you know, some of these look realistic, but definitely not as a whole when it sums up the numbers. So in other words, I can't have confidence in sharing these numbers with you, and I would be wary about trusting just a website like this to give you the numbers and tell you if it's more affordable in Maricopa versus wherever you are or other places you're considering. All right, I just want to take a moment now to pause what we're currently doing and ask a big favor of you. I think you probably know what it's going to be. If you can do me a favor and like this video to communicate that this is good content, that it's useful to you, and you want me to keep on going with it. It also, of course, lets YouTube know that this is good content, and so that they will help me reach a wider audience and more people, help more people out. And while you're at it, please subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to hit the bell icon so that you can get notified every time I drop a new video about Maricopa, Casa Grande, living and moving to the Phoenix, Arizona area. Thank you so much. I appreciate that, and let's keep on going. So now let's talk about food prices here in Maricopa. I think we're going to have pretty normal, reasonable prices for most things compared to most of the rest of the country. We might even have some advantages. Part of that being because, you know, we're pretty close to Mexico, which you know, we get a lot of our produce from Mexico in the entire United States, and there's some, you know, tariff concerns or questions going on right now at the time of this video. So who knows how that's going to end up affecting things, but at least being this close to Mexico, we have, you know, more reasonable transportation costs than, you know, stuff in the northern US. Arizona itself also has a really long growing season, so there is a lot of farming here still, and of course not just agriculture, but also a lot of livestock farming that happens here in Arizona. I wanted to look at some prices, you know, just as a baseline comparison. So now we're deciding which grocery store to go to. So here are our options in Maricopa, and if we're going to look at grocery prices, we got to kind of look at which one, because I don't want to bore you with, you know, 14 different price points for everything. But we've got Bashas' here, which is kind of like a local homegrown grocery store. There's a lot of them in Arizona. Also, they also own AJ's Fine Foods, which we don't have in Maricopa. They're a little bit more expensive, in my opinion, in my experience. So let's not look there. Fry's Marketplace, that's a Kroger brand, you know, same as Ralph's and Dillon's and you know, a dozen other name brands. They've got really good deals a lot of the time. So if you follow their ads and do their online app clipping and whatnot, they just have great prices on certain items. And overall, their prices are decent. In my opinion, better than Bashas'. By the way, these are just my opinions. I hope I'm not offending any grocery people or anything. We just gotta be able to speak about things a little bit. And then we have Sprouts over here, Sprouts Farmers Market. They're relatively new to Maricopa, and they're, as I'm sure you know, a little more focused on organic type of foods and health foods and things like that. We've also got an Aldi that is being built over here. Aldi's pretty great. They've got super low prices, some of the lowest I've seen for groceries. They're just pretty limited on their inventory, so you're not going to go in there and find all the different brands of all the different products like one of the larger supermarkets. But yeah, we expect that to be open in the next few months. Really hoping for Winco around here soon. Walmart Supercenter, this is actually what we're going to look at here, just because, you know, they don't have the great sale prices that Fry's does, but they do tend to have lower everyday prices, and I've found them to be the best place for overall shopping. So let's look at just a few basic products to see what their prices look like. We're mostly just looking at store brand products with this to set a baseline, because I don't know what your personal favorite you know, name brand is. So let's start with milk. Skim milk, $3.02 for the Great Value brand. Same price for 1%, same price for 2%, same price for whole milk. Now, I'm recording this in February, and this is actually during the great egg crisis of 2025. So you'll notice here that there's a lot of empty space in the egg section, and we're also looking at some highly elevated prices. So $6.82 for a dozen, $6.74 $10 for those organic ones. Yeah, so these are way higher, and that's $3.14 for a 6-pack for a half a dozen, $8 for an 18 dozen and a half. So yeah, in general, these prices are quite a bit higher than what we'd normally pay. Usually it's like $3.12 for a regular pack of eggs, a regular carton, maybe $2.50. And then the more expensive organic ones, $5, $6 maybe. And of course, being Walmart, they're always ready for the next holiday or the next 1 or 2 holidays. So we've got a wall of Valentine's Day candy. And now we are looking at bread. Great value, just kind of basic honey wheat bread, $1.87 for a loaf. White, $1.42. And then a little bit of Nature's Own. I like Nature's Own. They're affordable, but also I think a little bit higher quality than Great Value. I usually have no problem with store brand stuff. It's a great quality, but Nature's Own's a little bit better. So $3.64 for that loaf, 100% whole grain, $3.42. A little bit of Sara Lee, $3.28 plus a coupon. And then chicken breast. Chicken breast is kind of the only cut of chicken that we eat in this household typically. So I didn't really think to look at other cuts like thighs or anything like that. Sorry about that. But Great Value chicken breast is about $2.60 a pound. And then ground beef. If you are feeding a freaking army, for this 10-pound chub, it is $3.34 per pound is what it comes out to. That's, I think, 27% beef fat, so not necessarily the highest quality blend. And then when we get over to the kind of more normal size packs, this is 2 pounds, $6.35 a pound for 10% beef fat, $5.65 for 15%, $4.64 for 27%. And these are kind of just a little bit higher end, but still store brand, grass-fed beef and whatnot. And here we're looking at, prices in the $7 range, $6 to $7 depending on cut. Bananas, of course, very important, 50 cents a pound. These are just regular, non-organic. Apples, $1.53 a pound for Red Delicious. And then all the other apples are, kind of between that price and about $2.50 a pound. So to me, it doesn't seem like most of these prices have really changed all that much in the last few years. Maybe ground beef a little bit. Eggs, of course, right now are crazy. And yeah, in my experience, you're not really going to see any different prices in any of the Phoenix metro area or Casa Grande for that matter. Now, when it comes to taxes here, I think there's 2 main components to it. Maricopa itself has an 8.7% sales tax, and that's compared to the Phoenix metro area, that's about 8.6, so it's slightly higher. And then for property tax in Maricopa, we're looking at 0.63%, and that's compared to 0.53% in the Phoenix metro area. Now, keep in mind, we have generally more affordable properties than in Phoenix, so even though it's a higher rate, you're probably paying the same or actually less property tax here. So for example, if we look at a home that's about $350,000, $400,000 in value, that's about $2,100 in annual tax, which is adding a little bit less than $200 to your monthly mortgage payment. Hey, I wanted to take another really quick break to invite you to reach out. If you're planning a move to Maricopa, Casa Grande, Mesa, Tempe, Chandler, Phoenix, any of those areas in the next 9 days or 9 months, let's connect. Let's get some questions answered. Let's get some strategies figured out, and so that we can make this the smoothest move possible. There's no time frame that's too crazy for me. I just want to have the opportunity and the privilege to be the one that works with you to make your dream a reality. Okay? All right, let's keep going. All right, so now let's talk about utilities here. There's so much nuance and detail and information to utilities. I'm not going to go over all of it, but just to kind of give you an idea, I think there's some important key things to understand. For example, here in Maricopa, we use ED3, Electrical District 3. And as far as I know, they only have like a time of use rate plan. That's all I've ever seen anyway. But glancing at their rate plan really quick, we have summer, super summer, and winter. So broken down by months, May, June, September, and October is regular summer. Off-peak cost is about 5 cents per kilowatt hour. On-peak time is about 15 cents per kilowatt hour. Super summer during July and August specifically, same off-peak price, about 22 cents per kilowatt hour on peak. And then winter is about 5 cents off peak, 12 cents on peak. And these are important to keep in mind because, our summers are very hot and take a lot of energy to cool. And our winters are very mild. You're still gonna, you're still typically gonna turn on the heater, but, depending on whether that's electric or gas, So if you have an electric heater, your winter electric costs are going to be a little bit higher, but generally the summertime is where it's the most expensive. So, and at the peak of the summer, we get up to about $310 or so per month in electricity. Compare that to the winter time, and we do have a gas furnace, but wintertime our electric bill gets down to about $60, $70 a month, so significantly lower. We also tend to almost always have someone home. So if you are leaving the house in the middle of the day and you bump your thermostat up a little bit, then you're saving some money. Our home is fairly energy efficient, as is our AC, but there are some improvements we could make. So there's ways to bring that down if you tweak things, if you get solar panels, for example. But use that as a general guideline as all of this stuff. But if we look at the Phoenix metro area, there's APS and there's SRP. Depending on what area you're in, you'll get one or the other. So we'll take a quick look at their rate plans. So summer peak time for SRP, 26 cents per kilowatt hour. Off peak is 9.3 cents per kilowatt. In winter time, 12 cents per kilowatt hour, and off peak time is about 9.5 cents per kilowatt hour. Oh, and the monthly base service fee is $20 a month. So they are a little bit more expensive than ED3. So now when we look at APS, they do things, a little bit differently, but we'll try to keep it as simple as possible. So for their summer rates, 12.35 cents per kilowatt hour, basically. And then their on peak is a very short period of time from 4 to 7 p.m., but it's 3.44 cents per kilowatt hour, which is, a bit. And then in the winter time, their off-peak is the same price. They have a super off-peak that's between 10 a.m. and 3 p.m. at just 3.5 cents per kilowatt hour. And then their on-peak is it's a little bit cheaper, about 2 cents cheaper than the summertime peak. So there are some, advantages and disadvantages to APS versus SRP, but you don't really get to choose which utility you use. It's just whatever area you're in. But I think in general, it's pretty clear that ED3 in Maricopa has better rates than the power companies in the Phoenix metro area. Now, when it comes to water in Maricopa, the whole town uses a company called Global Water Resources. And when we look at their rate plan, there's a lot of information here, and it's all Greek to me. Like there's too many factors in here. So when we look at my bill, we still have 4 tiers of different rates for whatever reason. And this is the cost per 1,000 gallons that was used in that tier. What it comes down to here is there's a basic water charge of $30.36, fluctuates obviously. And then there's a basic charge for wastewater. And that's about $70 per month. So before we even look at consumption, your water and your sewer bill here is going to be about $100. And then my actual usage, $30 for the month. And that's pretty common, pretty typical. Sometimes it's as low as $10, sometimes up to $30, maybe a little bit more occasionally. But $134, which to me and a lot of people in Maricopa seems really high. But also, what do you do about it? We're kind of just stuck with it. So we save money in some other ways. The water bill seems to be a little bit higher than most of us wish that it were. Compare that to SRP that pretty much serves all the Phoenix metro area. Kind of like Global Water Resources, the actual rate information is crazy complicated, but I'm trying to give you actual usable information here. So I checked with Microsoft's Copilot, and here's what they said. After a little clarification, they summarized it as low season, an average monthly bill might be about $48, medium season about $54, and high season about $58 per month. And that lines up pretty well with my experiences, how I remember my water bill being in the Phoenix metro area. Between $30 and $50 is usually what I saw it as. So those are, of course, the two main utilities. Each HOA, each neighborhood tends to handle trash service their own way. So there's a few different companies that service Maricopa. In my neighborhood, for example, it's about $50 every 3 months for trash service here. And then not every house has natural gas service, but for those that do, almost all of Arizona, I think, uses Southwest Gas. And depending on the month, that'll range from about $20 a month to, say, $50 a month, at least for my personal use. And I think it's consistent rates across the state, give or take, not a promise. Here in Maricopa, we have Orbitel, which is kind of a smaller regional carrier, and CenturyLink and some other companies. They kind of, it's sporadic between the different neighborhoods because, they were built and established at different times. For decent speeds, kind of what I've seen is about $80 to $120 per month. And then Cox Internet just recently installed here. And traditionally, I didn't really care for Cox, but they're coming in hot. They're really kind of being aggressive with their prices, their rates, and their speeds too, because it's all newer installation. So they're doing, I think, up to 256 megabytes megabits upload and download at $50 per month, including equipment. And then CenturyLink is installing their fiber optic version, which they call Quantum Fiber Internet, and pretty competitive rates. Actually, I think it's about the same, $50 plus tax for about 500 megabits per second upload and download. So arguably even better than Cox's deal. So check it out if you're coming to Maricopa. Hopefully those prices are still available, since they might be kind of promotional in nature. But Cox and Quantum Fiber, ask about those and see what's available in a place that you're considering moving to. All right, finally, let's get to a little bit of the meat and potatoes of this video. And I think most people would probably agree that house prices are a super big factor in the cost of living somewhere. And this is, where Maricopa really kind of shines, I think. So in my effort to keep apples to apples comparisons, I did narrow the search down a little bit, and I'll show you what I mean. Here we are in the MLS. So we're just looking at active homes. We're starting off in looking at the Phoenix metro area as a whole, because all of these kind of run together. They're all almost the same city in different ways, but there are major regional differences. I shouldn't say that they're the same. But we're looking at just single family homes, so not patio homes, townhomes, condos, anything like that. Minimum 3-bedroom, because apples to apples, that's pretty much all we have in Maricopa, other than in Province, the 55 plus retirement community. Bathrooms 2 minimum, approximate square feet, open-ended on the bottom, but at most 3,500 square feet. So we're not, looking at mansion prices. Year built, everything in Maricopa is like 2002, 2003 and newer. So just to be kind of generous, we're not looking at anything older than the year 2000 here. Garage space is 2+, because the vast majority of homes in Maricopa have 2+ garages. And then if we check these stats, so this summarizes everything that falls in this category, which is 3,395 listings currently. We've got this outlier here, $1. That's an auction. That home is not going to sell for $1. They're trying to just get as many people to see it as possible. So with this search criteria, the median list price is $550,000. Now, if you want to see specific search criteria, just 3 bedrooms or just 5 bedrooms or just this certain square foot, there's an infinite number of combinations. So let me know what you want to see, and I can get you some results to see the specific numbers. But for the sake of keeping this video less than 10 hours long, we're just going to stick to this for now. So $550,000. And also important to think is $255 per square foot. Okay. Now, if we drop that, or if we get rid of this circle and we look at just Maricopa, okay, we have 551. Obviously, fewer results. It's a much smaller area than that whole Phoenix metro area. Okay. The median list price is $375,000. Okay. And a list price per square foot at $193 per square foot. So significantly less expensive. And almost all of these Maricopa homes, they are going to have HOAs, unless you're looking at the outliers like Thunderbird Farms or Hidden Valley, but still way more affordable, according to these numbers, according to the search. Let's have a look at Casa Grande as well. I kind of see them as a sister city, and I do a lot of work there, a lot of videos there as well. They're probably going to be even a little bit lower than Maricopa, $370,000 and $202. So my mistake. On average, they are actually a little bit higher, given the specific search criteria. Now, Casa Grande does have older communities there than Maricopa does, and they do have more that don't have HOAs as well. So if we were to include homes that say were built before 2000, then this number would drop a little bit. But apples to apples comparison, Maricopa is actually a little more affordable. Who knew? So obviously that's a super brief breakdown of prices, but I hope that it's helpful to you Like I said, let me know if you want more refined, comparisons. I'm happy to do that for you. I've got some great tools to do. And then if you want to calculate a monthly payment, your best bet is to talk to a lender about what that's going to look like for you, because they're going to be able to see your actual, credit score to determine your actual interest rate, which makes a huge difference. But if you're not ready quite yet for that step, there's a ton of online calculators that you can find for free, easy to find. Now, obviously, when you're using a calculator for anything pertaining to buying a home online, most of them are going to be really a company that's trying to collect your personal information or your contact information so that they can, try selling themselves to you, which is fine. Just don't forget about me. Let's work together. Let's do great things. All right, and that is it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you made it all the way to the end, you are awesome, and I appreciate you so much. Also, if you haven't already, like button, subscribe button, and the bell icon, please. It means a lot, helps me a lot, and above all else, I would love the opportunity to work with you. So please reach out. Let's make this happen. Let's make your move to Arizona or within Arizona a great one. Thank you so much. I will talk to you soon. See you in the next video.